Shawn, to our very first Networking at Noon hosted by Asentiv.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here for the first one ever.
Yeah, as we were thinking about launching this mid last year, I was like, okay, we got to start with some of those folks that have been around quite a while, because you and I have known each other how long now?
Oh, how long have you been involved in? When did you start up with thread art?
So thread art started in 2003, and I got involved in BNI in 2005.
So we've known each other since 2005.
All right, so it's been a long time.
Yeah.
And how do we know each other? Because that's a kind of networking conversation.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously we met when you were in BNI and I was in BNI at the time. We were in different chapters and we were involved in different kind of networking events, different kind of educational events, cross chapter type events, leadership training events, all those types of things. And I think that's where we first met.
I believe so too. So Shawn, you mentioned you're in BNI and you do the networking thing. Why do you network? What kind of business do you have that you're trying to grow with networking?
So I am an attorney and I practice, I guess simply put, I practice consumer law. What I like to do is say that I help people have more money at the end of the month rather than more month at the end of the money. And so I have to network. I own my own law firm and I don't have any kind of source that feeds me business on a regular basis. So I have to go out and generate it. So I need to network to get the business I need to grow the law firm, to support the family, to do all the stuff, to move to our new office space in a few weeks, to do all the stuff I need to do.
So what is it? You've got people in your firm with you. Who do you have in your firm with you? What do they do?
So I've got an associate attorney. Her name is Lauren Fabrizio. She is a baby attorney, as I like to say. She graduated law school and passed the bar in, I want to say, 2019, which is when I brought her on mid June of 2019. So she's been with me now a year and a half, and she's doing a great job. So she's an associate attorney at the law firm. And then we have our assistant, Terry, who basically runs the law firm. Without Terry, mail wouldn't go out, clients wouldn't pay, all that other stuff. And then I do have a bankruptcy practice. And so I have a paralegal dedicated to the bankruptcy practice. Her name is Stacy. And I have an offsite negotiator, a lady that negotiates all of our debt negotiations, all of our short sales, all that kind of stuff. So we are 4 officially on payroll plus 1.
Gotcha. And you mentioned your office. Will you tell us where your office is now and where do you do business? Because you don't only do business in your office.
No. So because a lot of my practice is bankruptcy, I like to get clients from within the Tampa footprint of the bankruptcy court. And so here in Florida, that's Pinellas and Hillsborough County, which is Clearwater, St. Pete, and Tampa. It also encompasses Pasco County, where you live. Also encompasses Polk County, which I think most people would know as Lakeland. And it also encompasses down south, Sarasota and Manatee County. And so those are the counties that I primarily get clients from, mostly from Hillsborough, Pinellas, and Pasco. So I live in West Chase, which is in Tampa, which is in Hillsborough County. And my office is actually in Clearwater, Florida, which is, it's not, even though they're 2 separate counties, they're only separated by a few miles. So the office is really close. And I do work remotely from time to time. A lot of the staff works remotely from time to time. Like I said, we have a negotiator that works with us that's totally offsite. So, but yeah, we're about to expand. We're in about 1,000 square feet as I talk to you now. But hopefully within the next month, we are going to be in a different suite in the same building that's adding about 500 square feet.
That makes it a pretty easy move, huh? From upstairs to downstairs.
Upstairs to downstairs. And I've already got the key and we're already moving some of the small stuff. And with any luck, we can get the electricity turned on and we'll be in February 1.
Sweet. I remember my easiest move. I was in college and I went from a 2-bedroom to a 1-bedroom, and the landing was about 6 feet. So I didn't have to go up and down stairs. I just went from one side of the landing to the other. That had to be the easiest move that I ever did because there wasn't any packing involved. It was just schlepping from one to the other.
Well, and I feel bad because we just got a mover into my BNI chapter and all the chapter members are like, are you going to hire the mover? And I really want to, because I want to support my chapter and support my referral partners. But at the same time, it's just boxes and a dolly and move all the garbage downstairs and we're done. So I don't know if I want to just pay a couple of guys, a couple of bucks to do it and do it myself, or I don't know. I haven't made up my mind yet.
My husband always says he's good for one move and one move only. So, he's pretty, good with moving stuff around. Don't tell him I told you that.
Well, maybe I might trade off and give him some free lessons.
Oh yeah, because my husband, for y'all that don't know, my husband just got some drums. And Shawn, you know how to play the drums a little bit, right?
A little bit. I've been playing a couple of years. I started when I was 10. So I've been playing, 4 or 5 years now.
Now tell us, because you've got some history when it comes to drumming. It's not just like, hey, I drum at home and it's fun. You've done some stuff when it comes to drumming, haven't you?
I took formal lessons. My parents, when I turned 10, and I had been involved in music prior to that. Even in elementary school, I still remember there's 4 teachers that have had an impact on my life growing up, and 4 teacher names that I will always remember. My elementary school music teacher was Mr. Swenson. My junior high music teachers were Mr. Willig, and the other guy that used to make me write all the time, that I won't say. And then my high school director was Mr. Hughes, and I will always remember my instructors growing up. Drumming is a huge part of who I am, and so some of the stuff I made all-state timpani for the state of Florida when I was in 8th grade. And timpani are the big drums. You got the pedal that adjusts the sound, and it's normally, when people think of the bum 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 bum, those are timpanis. And so I got selected all-state timpani when I was in 8th grade. My junior high, I was the first person to go to that junior high for all 3 years. It was brand new junior high when I went in Miami, and I was in the first jazz band in that junior high. And then when I went to school, junior high, elementary school stopped at 6th grade. Junior high was 7, 8, 9. High school was 10, 11, 12.
Gotcha.
So I was the first 9th grader to march with the high school marching band. They did a parade up in Philadelphia summer between 9th grade and 10th grade. And so they invited all the incoming 10th graders while we were still in 9th grade, to go on the parade and march in the parade. And so I was the first 9th grader to march snare in the parade for my high school. I was the first drumline section leader to take high drum at a band competition we used to do in Deerfield Beach every year. And then from there, I went to FSU, which is why Rob and I are such very good friends, because he roots for the right team. And so I went to FSU, and I was in the FSU Marching Chiefs up there. So I was one of the guys responsible for getting the war chant going. And so, yeah, drums have been a huge part. I've been in a couple of garage bands after college. I still play. I've got 2 kids. They're interested in drumming, probably because of me. So I still play. Not often enough that I'm going to quit my job as an attorney, but drums are and have always been a huge part of my life.
Speaking of quitting your job, no, but being an attorney, you want to tell us what inspires you, why you are an attorney, what got you here?
So going back to band, it all, again, it's so much a part of me is drumming and band and music. So going back to band, when I was in junior high, there was a kid that was a year ahead of me in school. So when I was in 7th grade, he was in 8th grade, and he was my bully. These days, there's nothing up top, but back in the day, I used to have an afro. Basically, I had a huge head of hair, and you name it, he did it. He duct tape, scotch tape, pulled my hair, the physical kick, punch, the mental, he was my bully. And I think there was a little bit of jealousy there, because I was I was the kid that had lessons where he had to, go through beginning band and all that other stuff. I kind of skipped a lot of that stuff. And so I think there might've been some jealousy there, but he was my bully, and he did everything mentally, physically, everything he could do to me. I got a little bit of a reprieve when I was in ninth grade. He was in 10th grade at the high school. And so I got a little reprieve my ninth grade year. And then I walk into band my first day of 10th grade, and to go on that trip to Philadelphia, and there he is. And it just continued. And I mean, you name it. I remember a time when I lived 2 blocks from my high school. So I used to walk to and from school every day. I used to walk home a lot. We had an open campus. So I would walk home for lunch. And I remember walking home with a bunch of friends of mine, and his car was driving by, and one of my friends told him he was number 1 with a hand gesture. And he didn't appreciate being called number 1. So he swung the car around and came right at us, came right at me, even to the point of going up onto the swale and onto the sidewalk and driving the car down the sidewalk. And I remember looking for the closest tree, thinking he's not going to hit me if he's got to wrap his car around the tree. And even if he does, then people will know how I died, because they'll see me against the tree with the car wrapped around us all. So I went running for the tree. Of course, the tree might have been maybe 3-4 feet away, but it felt like 3-4 miles away. I fell as I was running for the tree, and I remember scrambling to get up. And right as I got towards the tree, I could feel the car go right by, with the hair on my legs, and I could hear him laughing as he drove away. And so that was, I think that was maybe the height of the bullying. And that was where all the parents started to get involved to get the bullying to stop. And then again, my senior year in high school was great. He was gone. I didn't have to deal with him. It was, the drum line was mine. The band was mine. It was great. And then I walk into auditions at FSU for the FSU drum line, and there he is. Now, luckily, he had skipped his freshman year at FSU. He didn't play his freshman year at FSU. So he and I were on same grounds because we were both auditioning for the drum line. And ironically, today we're friendly. The drum line, the band at FSU is almost a fraternity. And so we became friends in college. And, I don't talk to him regularly. It's not like we have beers on a regular basis, but
people grow up.
Yeah, people grow up. We're friendly today. But so the reason that translates into why I do what I do is I realized I help my clients avoid those bullies. When creditors are chasing them for money, they feel bullied. The telephone calls are nonstop. The letters are nonstop. Their credit is getting affected. They're getting sued. They're getting garnished. They feel bullied. And so what I do is I help protect that high school band kid, that college band kid, that high school band kid. I protect them from their financial bullies. And that's why I do what I do.
Cool. Yeah. It's so much more than just, hey, I'm an attorney. It's you're taking care of those people, taking care of your clients.
Yeah.
And speaking of, if somebody's watching this thinking, ooh, I need to talk to Shawn to have him help me out, how do they get in touch with you?
Easiest place to get a hold of me is the law firm's website, which is yesnerlaw.com, YESNER law. Although if they're watching, I spelled my name and the law firm name in my little box there. But the other, they can contact me. I know we're on Facebook Live. They can contact me here on Facebook, either personally, Shawn Yesner, or the law firm Yesner Law has a Facebook page. They can contact me there as well. But those are probably the two easiest, the website and social media.
Excellent. So a question for you, because I know you mentioned earlier, we know each other 15 plus years involved in BNI, an amazing organization for networking. And I'm wondering, what other organizations are you a part of for networking?
For networking, so I am also a part of, so one of the ways I promote the law firm is that I have a podcast, and it is called the Crushing Debt Podcast. And there is a big podcaster community here in the Tampa Bay area. So I'm part of what we call the Florida Podcaster Association. That's one of my networks. Another one of my networks, one of the ways that I chase around my 2 boys is I run a lot. I started running about 4 or 5 years ago. I was having weight and sugar issues. And so I started running. And so that's one of my networks. another one of my networks. And then the Asentiv community is a support network, an informational network. And so I am happy to be a part of the Asentiv community, which used to be the Referral Institute, to teach me how to network better within BNI and these other organizations.
Yeah, so you mentioned, you're part of our community. You're one of our earliest members of our Referrals for Life community. I need to go back and look and see how long it's been around. It's been several years. So can you tell me why? It sounds like you've got a thriving law firm. You've got some great networking going on. Why are you a part of Asentiv Referrals for Life community after all these years?
So it's interesting. They say law school doesn't teach you how to be an attorney. Law school teaches you how to think like an attorney. And we make the analogy that you can't expect to have a gym membership and not go to the gym and get in shape and lose weight. Or you can't have a gym membership and just show up once a week, push around a couple of weights and think you're going to be, Mr. Universe. Networking, I think, is very much the same way. So I am a BNI member still, and I am in these other networks, but I don't believe personally that there's any such thing as a natural born networker. I think it's a learned skill. And so that's what Asentiv does for me, is it teaches me. I remember when I left the law firm where I was an associate attorney that was owned by someone else, and I started at my own law firm. When I was at that other law firm, the previous law firm that was owned by another attorney, she said to us, well, just go out and get some Chapter 11 work. How?
Great idea. How do I do it?
Yeah, when I went off on my own and joined BNI and got involved in Asentiv and started to learn how to network, it got back to my old boss, how well I was doing. And she said, well, why didn't Shawn do that when he was here? And I said, well, if she asks that question again, tell her, because you didn't teach me how to do it. And so with Lauren being a year and a half out of law school, a year and a half out of the bar, I want to make a concerted effort to teach her. I've gotten her involved in some Asentiv programs. I've gotten her involved. She's in BNI. I've made her go to a lot of the advanced trainings and some of the other trainings that BNI offers to learn how to network. I think we summed it up pretty good. And I may get it wrong, so feel free to correct me, but BNI is to, playing in the football game as, Asentiv is to networking. In other words, you go to practice, you learn the fundamentals, that's Asentiv. And then you put them into practice during the game, that's BNI. And so they are very complementary in that I wouldn't know how to work my networks without Asentiv.
Love it. And what do you say, because you've done this for quite a while, and I know it's been a lot of different things, but what kind of successes have you been able to create from your work with Asentiv? I know that's a big question.
Well, I think number one is the podcast. So as we record this, the podcast is 5 years old, going on almost more. I've got more than 250 episodes I release weekly. So more than 250 episodes coming up on year 6. The podcast monetizes, so I do make money from the podcast. The podcast has helped the SEO of the law firm. The podcast has helped my brand within the community, both the referral community, the legal community, all of that. And the podcast came from you, basically, you holding me accountable to get something recorded and get it released. So without Asentiv, there would not be a podcast. The podcast has allowed me to write now my 2 books. One is called Crushing Debt, same title as the podcast. The other is called Become Debt Free in Less Than an Hour, where the concept is we're not going to get you debt free in an hour, but the tactics you can implement all take less than an hour to implement. And over the course of time, you can become debt free. So those things have all come from being an Asentiv, being a member of the Asentiv community. I know that we launched different mastermind communities. And so I am hosting, thanks to you, the attorney mastermind community. That's already created. We've had two of them as we record this, and that's already created relationships that I think are going to be profitable both ways. like you said, there's so much that I can trace back to Asentiv. I don't know. We could go on for another couple of days, and I don't know that I would capture it all. I did. So last night I had soccer practice. My oldest is 9, my youngest is 6, and I've been able to coach both of them in soccer for years now. I've been
which I think is hysterical, because you didn't know anything about soccer before they started, did you?
I played up until I got interested in music. Once I got interested in drums, I stopped playing soccer. So I know the fundamentals. I can kick and pass, and I can teach the fundamentals, but no, I'm by no means a very good soccer player myself. But what Asentiv has done is taught me how to leverage my network and my time, so that, I was able to leave the office at 4:00 yesterday to coach our last practice. Our team is in a tournament. Our team went 6-2-4 over this past season. So we're a winning team, and we're in a tournament where we got 2 games on Saturday, 2 games on Sunday, plus if we win all 4 games. And so, I don't have to worry about maintaining the office on a Saturday or Sunday. I can go coach soccer with my boys. We've got family vacations scheduled where I can leave the office, and I know that things are going to be handled at the office because of the network, because of the systems. You know this. I was with another law firm. So that Yesner Law is actually the second law firm that I've owned and started from scratch. I had another one that I admitted law partners, and long story short, it was a bad breakup. But when I restarted Yesner Law from the breakup of the other partnership, I had a ready built network, right? There was no downtime. I didn't have to dip into savings to get the new law firm started. It was literally just plug and play into the networks. So Asentiv has been, as much as drums are a huge part of who I am, Asentiv is a huge part of what the law firm is.
Love it. So anything else that you want to share with us? I have one final question to ask you before we sign off, but anything else you want to share about yourself, about what you do in the real world? I mean, maybe who are some really good referral sources for you? If people are watching this, who are some good connections that you like to work with to create those synergistic relationships that can refer all day, every day?
So the best relationships for me are other attorneys that don't practice in this area of law. Bankruptcy law, real estate law, foreclosure, that kind of stuff. Those are the areas that I practice. So the best attorneys that I can be introduced to are family law attorneys, personal injury attorneys, estate planning and probate attorneys. Almost any attorney that does not do bankruptcy or real estate law would be a great connection for me. Also, realtors are good connections, especially as we're anticipating this forbearance thing is going to come to an end at some point. So realtors will be a good connection for me again pretty soon. But yeah, those are the people that I can help, and I can help them in a couple of different ways. I can, give and get referrals from them. I can have them as guests on my podcast, which promotes them to my audience. So there's a ton of different ways that I can benefit, back and forth those relationships.
Very cool. Very cool. So my husband and I host, it's on hiatus right now, but a podcast called Brewing Up Business. We've done 2 seasons, and we'll be back for season 3 one day. And one of our favorite questions that we like to end with, and I thought I would wrap that up, is, what's your favorite brew? So for those of you that have never listened, this is not limited to beer, because my husband and I are big in the craft breweries, and when we can meet in person again, we do an event called Brewing Up Business where we get together at a local brewery. But brew could be beer, it could be liquor, it could be coffee, tea, kombucha, anything that goes through a brewing process. So Shawn, I know you have a favorite beer, and you like this beer quite a bit.
Mine is going to be beer, which I do have an affinity for. So my staff got me a home brewing kit, and so on Sunday, I think so we're recording this on a Thursday, right? So in 3 days, my first batch of home brewed beer will be available. I think it's a blonde ale. And so we'll see. Yeah, there you go. It's a blonde ale. I used to make a joke that, I like the blondes, the browns, the reds. I used to make a very sexist joke that I won't make right now. But my favorite beer, if you had to nail me down to it, I said I run on a regular basis. I run every Monday night and every Wednesday night, except this year when I've had soccer practice. But I run every Monday night out of a restaurant called Tampa Bay Brewing Company here in Tampa. Actually, there's a location in Ybor, and then there's a location by me in West Chase. So we run out of Tampa Bay Brewing Company every Monday night. I do about a 5K, about 3 miles every Monday night. And when we get back, we get a free beer. And so my favorite beer is Reef Donkey, which is actually an APA, but I love IPAs. And then Reef Donkey is my favorite. So,
do you know why they're called IPAs?
I know they're India Pale Ales. I don't know what significance that has, but
if I remember correctly, it was beer that was brewed to go from the trip from like Europe to India. And so it was brewed to go over there. Now, don't quote me on that, but I think it was something like that. Like, it was better for the travel than your typical lager. I don't. Now I'm gonna look it up.
I like IPAs. That's all I know. So there's only one IPA that I haven't liked. One brewery that I don't like, so I won't mention it.
Yeah.
Here, but yeah, I mean, we're I don't know that the word is blessed. We're fortunate to have Cigar City Brewing here, Tampa Bay Brewing. There's a lot of local breweries. Tampa's, I think, one of the hubs for local breweries. And so other than one brewery that's not local to Tampa Bay, there haven't been any IPAs or APAs that I haven't liked.
You must have a more giving palate than I, because I've definitely found a few more than that I haven't liked. However, there's plenty out there. And yeah, you're right. In Tampa, we've got so many to choose from that brew here locally.
Maybe not like is too strong a word. Ones that I won't drink again.
Gotcha. I get you. Yeah.
So.
Well, thank you, Shawn, so very much for being our very first guest on our networking at noon. Join us next week on Thursdays. We are going to be here at noon with some amazing folks, and we're just going to kind of hang out and get to learn more about them.
Cool.
Anything else, Shawn?
Other than thank you, I appreciate the opportunity.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Glad to have you with us, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week.